So welcome back. Well, welcome everyone to this episode of ForageCraft. So here we are in the area we cleared out this last week. So what we're going to work on here, we're going to do as much of the farm system of the terracotta, clay, mud, and dirt farms as we can. We're going to work backwards because I want to have a good output, and then I can just sort of work through it as it goes, and then I can have some build-up of other things. So in order for that to happen, we're going to have the output on this end, which is over by the ice bridges right over here. On this side, so it's inland, and we're going to go this work for the super smelter. Then we're going to have the drying area. Then we're going to have a mud maker, and then over here a dirt producer. I'm not sure how far we'll get, but over here, basically, what I'm going to work on right now is I'm going to work on the super smelter by itself. I want to get the super smelter in, as well as a relatively large bamboo farm for an infinite supply of fuel for it. So the reason I want to work backward, so this farm, it produces 4 different resources. I don't just want to have it all completely pipelined through, because then it would only be producing terracotta, and it would have to require a lot, or bricks, I guess, technically, because you can't just blow up clay blocks and get it. Like, if I were to just do that, I'd only be making bricks, and I can't really use bricks. So, I'm going to be working on making sure each section of this is individually usable, but can still be easily transferable into the other ones so that it's easy. At the dirt end, we're going to be basically having it produce the dirt, blow it up, and then put it into a shulker condenser after going through a couple of backlog chests, so that can fill up for the mud maker by itself, as well as the clay maker, which may end up being next to each other in this wide area over here. I'm not 100% sure on that yet. But anyway, we're going to be building a relatively large super smelter, and then those will get put into a large area where I can then mine them with my shovel. Silk touch, all that fun stuff on the clay, so I can just put that straight into the super smelter. It'll smelt it all, and then it'll go into here. And because I'm going to filter out the terracotta and put that through a shulker loader, which will then condense it for me. And then anything else will just get put into a large area of chests, which I can then use. So I can use it for other things if I need to, because I don't have a super smelter, at least not a real super smelter. And hopefully I can use it on a large portion of the ore I've been collecting. I've got quite a lot of iron and copper, and I may use up a whole bunch of the coal ore that I've been collecting for a initial booster on the smelter itself. So, I guess it's time to get working on this super smelter, and we'll get that done, as well as the bamboo farm, and then we'll just run through that, and we'll figure it all out from there. I'm gonna go sleep, because I was just AFK, and there are definitely gonna be phantoms, so I'll bring you guys back when I have the super smelter complete. Okay, so welcome back. So I have completely finished at least the mechanical portion, and probably some, if not all, of the decorative portion of the super smelter. So basically what we have here, we're going to work backwards the way I started. So we have my item input over here, or output here. So we have everything that's not terracotta, which gets auto-compressed through the shulker boxes into these. I haven't put any terracotta through because I don't have that kind of clay yet until I build the farms. Then it will get auto-compressed into here, and then it'll get dumped in there with the shulker boxes, and anything else that's going in here from the farms itself goes in here, and it's going up pretty good. I kick-started the system with a bunch of copper, iron, and coal, as well as a bunch of bamboo that I brought over that was just extra from my other bamboo farm back home that just had a large backlog and it just wasn't getting used. So I figured, why not move it and just let that build up again and have it over here. So we basically put it all in these chests, and it's filling up, and we have a ton of coal. I got 2 shulker boxes of each ore, like 2 shulker boxes of coal ore, 2 shulker boxes of iron ore, and 2 shulker boxes of copper ore is what I brought over here, basically. I think it might have been 3 it's been a day or so. I've kind of been letting it just run, just because like the fuel input needs to fill up, and it basically, the way I have it here, like, it's relatively efficient as is, but it probably could be improved if I, instead of doing this, I used a minecart system to distribute across that way as well. That would probably increase the efficiency, and I may end up doing that eventually, but for now, this is plenty fast. It's quite a bit faster than before, and it's really nice, and I think that's pretty manageable. Like, we're only using one of the 6 sections of furnaces, and it's just working really nice. And we got the, so basically we have the item input for the ores or clay or whatever in there, the fuel input over here. The fuel gets sent up this chute, and there, where it gets picked up by one of the 3 chest minecarts that I have running around. I'm not sure if 3 is a good idea, because I've noticed that sometimes the minecarts change speeds for some reason, even though they're all going on the same track. They collect, and then they go and distribute their collection through whatever hoppers, gaps there are, and they just come back around, recollect from those hoppers. Now over here we have the input. It gets sent up this chute, and through here, where it gets distributed into the 4, or these chest hopper collection, like little distribution hangers, where they get picked up by the hopper minecarts and distributed through each line of furnaces to just be sent through, and all that fun stuff. And I think there might be a bunch that's just not getting fuel over there, and I may end up, I'm not exactly sure how I want to work this out to make it do things better. Like, maybe I'd put another hot line. I don't know. This is completely my design, and I think it works pretty well. And once we get if I AFK or like just fish over here, set up a fish farm, I can just AFK and let it distribute properly so everything can just cook, and then it'll get all set. And then, yeah, that's basically how this is set up. And then once the thing gets melted, it gets pulled out of the hoppers, or the furnaces, and pumped into one of these item droppers, which I have in my main base. And then it gets sent through this water stream up this, and then it gets put into a filter system up top. We come up here, it gets sent through, and then basically it gets pumped in. Like, if it ends up, like, I put these here just in case, like, if these get backlogged, it'll get pumped into these, and then those will get sent out. But if it misses like that, it'll get picked up by the hopper minecart and distribute. So hopefully, if it does ever end up getting backlogged, it'll get auto put into the chest automatic, like in there well. And then it gets dumped through in the filter system, into the shulker loaders and all that. And we have hooked up here a pretty compressed bamboo farm, which is basically just observers attached to pistons, so that when one goes off, it'll just auto push the bamboo, and I'm not sure we'll get to see it, but it'll, yeah, like that, and then it'll get picked up by minecarts underneath, and then those get put into this, where they're sent up the chute, and then connected over there. We have it 6. We could definitely, if you wanted to do this machine, you could probably expand it quite a ways that way, or vertically. I just did this for now, because I feel like this is probably sufficient, but I am not opposed to adding another floor, or layer. Well, floor probably more likely than layer, just because that'll be a little better. But we basically just have that here, and I just went with a simple design on the outside, because we may do something different around it, and I just don't know. But anyway, that's basically the smelting farm over here. And I think next it is time to work on building up both of the mud and the clay production sites, where you can place dirt, it'll get watered, turned into mud, and then it'll either just get compressed into a large cube, or turned into clay and then compressed into a large cube. So I guess we're going to work on that. I'm not sure if that is going to like completely... I'm not sure how much time that'll take, but we'll see. I probably will not have enough time to do the big dirt production farm as well, but we'll hopefully at least get the clay and the mud farms properly done so that we have that for the industrial, and then yeah, I'll bring you guys back when we have something fun to show you back over here. So I'll catch you guys in a second. Okay, so welcome back. So I have a few things that I want to talk about with this. I don't have a script or anything that I've written down, but I have some things that I want to make sure and hit. We've finished up the clay converter and the mud farm, or just the mud converter straight up. So it's pretty simple in itself. So for my initial design, I went after the design I got caught glimpses of from Impulse's video on ForageCraft that he made a couple of weeks ago. Time is so weird. I don't remember when he posted it, but I know it was in the last month. I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't know for sure. But anyway, I basically ran the thing a little bit to test to make sure. His design had a few small issues with it regarding placement of blocks and things, and it was just iffy at best. And then, yeah, I need to put in like a legit way to get up here, like some stairs or something. But for now, we got that. So basically, I'll show you the redstone a little more on this section. Basically, you place either against the dirt block there at a relatively slow speed this machine, which will renews water, converts it into mud, and then it gets sent through the system and carried over and is dried by the dripstone. It's pointed dripstone underneath and sent through the system, and then it goes up and around and into here. And if you're wondering, that's just over 20 stacks, so almost a full shulker box. So yeah, each of these has that much. That's about as many. And then once it's in there, because I want terracotta, or if I want bricks for whatever reason, or just clay balls for whatever reason, I go in, I climb up here, and then I can get inside, and then I can just go ham with a shovel and pick it all up, and then it'll auto collect in there. I can send up through this pipe here, and then auto filtered through these and auto compressed into shulker boxes for mud blocks, clay blocks, and then clay balls, just because I figured having that there would probably be better than just having to deal with it all, the rest of it being put in there. And then I have access to put in more shulker boxes up top here if I need to later on. Well, I probably will need to later on if I don't just recycle it. But anyway, same access on here. But for the mud one, it's just straight up. I didn't want to do all the random directions, so I just went in. And then once it hits the, so it's rigged up so the walls activate an observer, which activates the pistons, and when they push down. And once they get to the bottom, it hits another one, which I have on this. I have it on the other side, which is the same mechanism with a wall observer thing. It pushes one row over, connecting a redstone current, which lights up a light. Basically, when you're looking at the piston, you can see the light, and once the light turns on, you know it's reached the bottom, so you can just like have an auto clicker and it'll do it for you. It'll light it up, and then you can know when to stop your auto clicker, and then you can go harvest. I will say this amount of layers is not enough if you're just going straight with the mud. You will probably get about half if you just go that way. If you have it completely empty and you just keep going, it's not recommended. So I would recommend leaving this section full. Well, actually, it's gonna be half full anyway. It's just, you expect, that's why I have them both hooked to the same system, because it will get some mud from this. I just let it sit for a while when I was building it, and it just dried out well and it's been that way and I haven't done too much because I'd rather not use excess dirt. I'd rather just have the production system. Oh, and by the way, it's Wednesday night, really late, and I'm really tired, and I am gonna finish this episode here. This is the last clip, and we'll just end the episode here because I want to make sure this video comes out on time. Anyway, so and then, oh yeah, once you've mined out the brick from the top to the bottom, there's an exit on each side down at the bottom there, which you can just climb out. Anyway, now let's land in here so I can basically show you the simple piston redstone that we have for each layer. So basically, for a sideways, you have a wall, which once it reaches the distance, it connects to the wall, causing it to send a redstone signal down and pushing it. You can have it from between 10 to 12. I believe 12 works, because that's, I believe, how many Impulse had. His was wide. Mine's 10 wide, because I wanted to make it a good cube, and that was what fit well, relatively well, in the section I have, but you can make it shorter. You could make it 1 wide if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could. If you don't have the space for it, you could make it 3 wide. It's really tileable, but anyway. And then the up one is different, so when you get something, like it moves along, and then it hits another wall, and that's at the same level, and then it's just a matter of lowering the redstone down along the edge there, like so. Like so. I figured I could try and land it, but anyway, yes, like so. Just have the observer look into the wall, and then it just pushes it up, and it'll auto go for you, which is a really nice way of doing it rather than having to set up some obnoxious timer. Anyway, so it was kind of maddening to look at Impulse's video and try and figure out what was what with the redstone here. I'm gonna hop over to the other one because it's a little more obvious, just to see a little better without all the scaffolding that I put in. So basically, grab the little bit of dirt that I have here. Let's just take half. There, half of the dirt. So basically, what you have here, this activates the signal when you place a block on top, causing it to send the signal over. So the issue with Impulses that I had, his dispenser water thing was here 1 block over. It was not getting triggered properly, so I moved it over, and then I had a repeater here, and that was causing that piston to fire beforehand, and it just wasn't working because of sending through the thing, and it just was not working. I switched to redstone, still didn't work. Instead, I put a block with a redstone on top, allowing it to work properly. So you can see it's pretty simple. We have the redstone coming around here to activate this piston to push it. That triggers the mud converter, turning it into mud. I'll show you that in a second. And then it signals this, which will drop a singular new dirt for you, which you'll see in a second. Once the block gets pushed, it'll trigger this wall, causing this to activate. Sending a redstone signal, which delays it. I added this delay in just to make absolutely sure. It's a little slower, so you want to have an auto clicker that's like once a second at most, probably. You don't want to have it super fast because that might overload the system, and I haven't tested it. So once it'll send a signal, push it, and then it'll push this, and then it'll just repeat and go up. It's really simple redstone, like overall, but that's basically what we have going on there. I'll fix this later. But anyway, that's pretty much the redstone. Now I'll show you, hopefully, it should work properly, like so. And you see, I'm getting a new dirt each time. So it sends me new dirt, and then it sends, and then once you get all of that, it sends all the way, and all that fun stuff. And if you're just starting out, you're gonna want to make sure you have these 2 dirt here just in case, like at the start, so otherwise you may end up having an explosion of water, like a couple lost bottles, and that's just not ideal, and it's a pain. And if you don't do it, it's like that. And also with this, so there are 3 hoppers hooked up in this system here. 2 going into this dropper dispenser here. These need to be full, at least mostly full, of empty water bottles. I'd recommend leaving it at least having a few empty slots in here just to make sure it has space so you don't like lose things. And then the hopper above going in should probably be full of water bottles, as well as the dispenser up top. Oh boy. Fix that later. You're probably going to want to have all of them full so that you don't have to deal with loss of water bottles. This way. You have that full, and then you have that full, just so you don't lose anything. I'm really tired. But anyway, I'm here to talk about my exhaustion level. But like that's pretty simple overall. Pretty good system that I believe works well enough. And even like this entire section pretty much requires a lot of player input, but it's also pretty well automated, so if you want to find a way to duplicate it in your own world, it's pretty simple. The most expensive part of this process are the pistons and the pointed dripstone if you're doing the clay converter, especially if you want to have it go up high enough that it eventually it gets to the point where you get enough layers that all of it will all be converted into clay for sure, or at least 99% of the time before it gets out and goes in there. I have no idea how many layers that is, but if I were going to estimate, I have 6 layers in here, which is 1 more than Impulse had. If I were going to clear this out and run it, I would say it would take at least twice again as many layers. But I honestly don't know for sure if that's correct. Someone can tell me in the comments if they want to test it. But I don't want to dedicate that much vertical space to that, because it's already pretty tall as is, and if I were to triple this, that would be ridiculously tall. Because I want to do something up here. I'm just not sure what at the moment, and it's just and also when you're building something like this, you want to make sure the top is well lit, because you will have mobs spawning up here. And if you do, it's bad, is that then they might come and get you while you're AFKing, placing blocks. Also, when you're doing something like this, you want, I had a few issues when I was building that one. I had it one lower, causing it to push, and if you don't have it hooked up right, like if you miss one redstone or somehow it gets blocked and you don't have it set up properly, it will push and it will destroy all your redstone. So you want to make sure it's at least 1 block above, so that if it does overflow, it just pushes out this way and then it gets backed up that way, so it doesn't get stuck and destroy all of this, which doesn't take too long to place, but it is quite annoying to have to redo. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that when you build it. Also, yeah, that's pretty much it. Etho hopper clock is pretty nice and handy with 1 item in. It's a pretty good timer. Better than just an observer clock, which in itself is okay, but sometimes when you deload they stop, and that is not a good thing to have to deal with, because then you have to go back and fix it, either replace the lock or have it hooked up to a piston to move it, and all that fun stuff. And we're pretty much all of my iron and copper has gone through the system over there, and it is going pretty well. And I like this very much, and I'm waiting for the fuel to fully fill, and I may end up... I noticed that the chest minecarts had stopped at one point, because I believe one of them somehow managed to get turned around backwards and then hit them on the other way, and they just got stopped. So I may end up taking out 2 of them, just so I don't have to deal with that particular issue. yeah, so that's basically how I did this. There are probably better ways to do this, but this is how I decided to go about it. And we do not have enough time to do the dirt production farm. I'm most likely, I believe the design I'm going to be using is called Mangoes, but I don't have that kind of brain power to work on one of his machines, which are extremely complicated, but also really good. Extremely complicated. I don't have that kind of brain power at the moment, or probably anytime soon, and realistically, infinite dirt is not that necessary in my mind at the moment. So I am going to probably postpone that part of this for now, and I may end up working on some other farms that I want to do in the essence of finishing up Season 2 and doing other things for ForageCraft. So basically, I was thinking about what I wanted to do for Season 2, and I'm just like thinking about my schoolwork and all that fun stuff that goes along with it. And I have a few farms. I believe I showed you the shulker box that had the item farms that I wanted to make still. I believe this one is going to be 4 items, and I want to get these farms done as soon as possible so I don't have to work as hard on collecting resources for things like my mega builds and all that those fun things that I want to make. But I don't want to overstress myself in terms of what I have to do when, both for this series. I don't want to be burnt out on this, and I want to make sure I have enough time and energy for this, as well as my classwork that I have to do, as well as other projects that I am working on that may or may not be posted to this channel later on from those classes, which I am really excited about doing. All of that. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I am hoping to get things done, and then I'm not sure how much clearing, so while I'm in between working on farms, I'm also hoping to do more clearing like I've done here, clearing more desert, just so I have room for the large builds that I want to do in the future, and having those resources, both the sand, the sandstone, and the flat space as well. So, yes. So, I'm not sure if we'll be keeping up with the weekly. I'm hoping to keep up with the weeklies. They may be quite a bit shorter, because it's just like, who cares about watching desert clearing? I don't have a cam account or a replay mod to do review footage for those things. So, it's just a little obnoxious in that sense. So it's like there's no real content to watch, and we'll do farms when we can, and I'm hoping to get them done. And then once I finish the farms, and maybe once I finish clearing the deserts, then we'll call Season 2 done, and then we'll probably take a different posting schedule for Season 3 and beyond. Simply because I don't want, I don't know how much work. I don't want to assume what my schedule is going to look like by the time I finish all those farms and all this work. But I don't want to assume anything, so I'm going to just readdress that specific issue when it comes time. I'm looking forward to doing a lot more work on this world and having a fun place that has a lot of things where I can learn, experiment, and build fun things that I have seen or design myself. And anyway, sorry about the little rant there, but if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos and series, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Bye.